Alrighty, folks. So this is for 7th grade Orange Team World History. And we've been learning a lot about ancient Rome. And we recently learned about some of the struggles they had and some of the leaders who tried to fix those issues. And one of those leaders was Julius Caesar. And we've learned about his rise to power. We've learned about some of the different tactics or reforms he used to try to fix the city of Rome and its problems. Well, what we're about to find out is that not everybody was a big fan of Julius Caesar, okay, to say the least. But spoilers, he does end up being murdered. Okay, and you know this because you've reached this point in our Nearpod that you're watching this video for the instructions on how to solve this cold case or solve this murder. So as you click through these slides, some of the slides will correlate to different questions on our Classkick for our detective sheets and our indictment. So I'm going to show you kind of how to move through and fill them out. So this is our cold case. It hasn't been solved officially for about 2,000 years, and you guys are going to take a crack at it. So I'm here to walk you through the steps on basically how to get your points for solving this crime. So the first thing you're going to notice is as you move through the Nearpod, you're basically going to have to jump between the Nearpod and either Classkick if you're doing this virtually, or the detective sheet, the actual paper copy if you picked one up from me this week. Well, basically what you do is, for example, this slide says Exhibit A. Well, so when this slide says Exhibit A, that means the next thing you click on is going to correlate. If we hop over to Classkick, and for example, whoops, let me back up here. One second, let me pause this video. Okay, folks, I figured it out. I got it so it'll look like it'll look on your screen or your device. So back on that Nearpod, it said Exhibit A, or it said Exhibit A on the next slide. So that's going to correlate to your Classkick. Okay. Now notice in our Classkick, on the first slide of our Classkick, it says Exhibit A. So that means whatever's going to be on that Exhibit A slide is going to match up with these questions right here. So for example, on the Nearpod, I would click over to Exhibit A. Whoops. Okay, sorry folks. I'll start it again. I fixed the glitch. So this is what Exhibit A would look like. So you would read Exhibit A. Okay, it's a newspaper article from ancient Roman times, or pretend one. And you would read this information, and then you would hop back over to Classkick and go to Exhibit A, and you would answer the questions that line up with it. Okay, now you just click right in here and type, and you can start typing whatever your answer is. Now folks, if you run out of space, check this out. I can always just highlight the text and make it bigger, or if I'm running out of space, make it smaller. Okay, so that's always something that you can definitely do. If we go back to the Nearpod then, if I click the next slide, it says, hey, Exhibit B is going to be on the next slide. And I go to Exhibit B, okay, and I see, oh, I've got a picture of an ancient Roman tomb. I've got a little write-up on it. I can read this, go back to my Classkick. Oh, here's Exhibit B, right? And I can type in my answers to the questions based on what I just saw on the Nearpod. Now, as you notice on Classkick, we've now run out of questions on this page, but we have another slide. So we click over and it's like, oh, now we got to look for Exhibit C and then eventually Exhibit D, and these questions will help with that. So we go to Nearpod, we click this, it says, hey, keep going for Exhibit C. So we go to Exhibit C, we read that, we go back to Classkick, okay, we answer those questions, then we go back to Nearpod, keep clicking over for Exhibit D, we see our autopsy report here, we read through this information, go back to Classkick, answer those, go on to our next slide. Okay, and you're going to keep repeating that process a couple times. In fact, you're going to do that the whole way through Exhibit H. Okay, Exhibit H. You're going to keep hopping between the Nearpod exhibits and the Classkick. Now, eventually, your Classkick's going to look a little different. And you'll know it because when you hit Nearpod, you'll keep moving through the exhibits. Exhibit E, okay, Exhibit F. Exhibit G actually has 3 slides, so pay attention to that. Okay, read through those, answer those questions on the Classkick. And then Exhibit H is a video, so you watch the video, then go back to Classkick and answer the questions. And then eventually you see that you have to fill out what is called an indictment. Basically, where you say who's guilty and why they're guilty, okay, for the death of Julius Caesar. Now, what that's going to look like on ClassKick, okay, what that's going to look like on ClassKick is a little bit different. It's going to say the grand jury charges that the defendant, now defendant just means for whoever committed the crime, okay, whoever's being accused of the crime. So maybe that's Caesar, maybe that's the bodyguard, maybe that's a senator, maybe that's somebody else, right? Whoever you think from reading through all your evidence is guilty, that's who you put here, okay? You type it in here. Then it says is responsible for the crime of, well, if it's somebody who murdered Caesar, you put the murder of Caesar. If you think Caesar did something or committed a crime, maybe you put the crime that Caesar committed, okay? Type that in there. Then what you click is, it says exhibit blank shows blank. Okay, I'm actually going to start on the second one. You would go back to the Nearpods and maybe look through or look at some of your notes if you click through the previous slides at the different exhibits and look at the evidence. And you might say, hey, exhibit B shows me that blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever evidence you found that proves your point or proves this person guilty. And you fill it in. Same thing for exhibits, if you want to use H or F or whatever. Okay, you'd fill it in and fill in the evidence that you found that proves this person is guilty of this crime. I notice I'm missing a text box here. I will add that, so don't worry, that will be on there for you. Okay, and then you're done, because the nice thing about ClassKick is it automatically saves it, and then when I go in to grade everything, it'll all be on there. Okay. If you have any questions about this, you get lost jumping back and forth, please let me know. And remember, you can always complete the detective sheet and the indictment on paper and submit it to me. Let me know if you need a paper copy. Or you can always complete these on ClassKick as well. There just might be a little bit of jumping back and forth between tabs that you need to do. All right, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Have a good one.